Hey everyone, it's HappyChimeNoises, and today we're looking at this challenger Bel'Veth player. His name pretty much literally translates to Belveth in Korean, and this guy is a Bel'Veth mid and top lane player, and recently on the new patch, 13.10, with all the new item changes, he's been playing some Galeforce Bel'Veth Mid, a champion that already has 4 dashes and a way to reset them in her kit. And yet this guy wants another dash. We're gonna look at why he's doing it and how he's managing to win games in Korean Challenger with it. But first, today I went to MSI and I saw a Korean mid laner do unspeakable things to a European team. Immediately I knew I'll never be that good without help. So I logged into League and made sure I had Professor installed. Imagine a Korean Challenger coach sitting next to you giving you perfect information. That is Professor, a companion app that helps you rank up, and they are sponsoring this video. Starting in Champ Select, Professor automatically selects the best runes taken from high elo games, making sure you never have to play Press the Attack Anivia again. Then in-game, just like a coach, it scouts your opponents and shows you their weaknesses. On top of that, Professor has jungle timers to help you avoid ganks, or become a better jungler, and best of all, summoner spell tracking. Whenever someone flashes, click the box and an automatic timer will start. All of this is completely approved by Riot and used by over 9.5 million other players. And best of all, it's completely free, so you can download it now from my link in the description, and start ranking up right away. Getting into game, we see it's Belveth TP Flash taking a Conqueror page, having pretty much classic fighting runes as you'd expect for any role. Sudden Impact and Treasure Hunter secondaries for the easier snowballing. Always got to get a stacking rune in Korean solo queue, collect your extra gold and get far ahead. Already used all of his Qs to get out of base, already looking for an invade. Nautilus flashes, trades with the enemy mid, always good to do. Fighting level 1 with Belveth, always a great idea thanks to your Q stacks. You basically have 3 extra abilities compared to a usual champion at level 1, so they're very happy to just random invade with this Bel'Veth mid, especially with the Nautilus as your support. Looking like a pretty good invade for this Aphelios as well. Hook lands, Korean Nautilus never miss. Dashes out of tower range as well after getting the damage off. Great dive. So this guy mostly plays a lot of Belveth top lane, but more recently he's been playing a lot more Belveth mid. It's quite a similar thing. We did a Belveth top lane video, but this one is different since it's Galeforce related. I guess for mid lane, since it's Galeforce, it's going to be a much higher damage like AD build. And if you're playing that in top lane, it's going to be quite hard to deal damage, since people are tanky and you're not just going to be able to auto them loads. Whereas if you're playing against this Katarina, a Galeforce is going to do 100 damage and then the rest of her health is going to disappear as soon as you use your Qs. So it's a pretty interesting adaptation for this lane. Definitely still testing. I wouldn't say this is a perfect build yet. Just using Qs at the moment in mid lane to pressure and push wave. Since it's a Katarina, level 2, obviously she can't do anything against you. If you were against something like a Syndra or any early game mage, it would be quite a lot harder. He does go for Doran's Blade, knowing that he can just kind of take advantage of this matchup. But if he was against the poke mage, maybe Doran's Shield would be better. It seems as though he takes the Doran's Blade almost every game, whatever the matchup is, regardless of what's happening. I guess the Omnivamp's quite good. We can see here, level 3, he shoved mid-wave using his Q, trying to get these Raptors. Unfortunately the support shows up, otherwise he could have just stolen these. It's a cool play, because in mid lane, you use your Q stacks. That's 15.8 seconds per Q, so by the time you've pushed the wave using them one by one of them will then be back up to start the Raptors, and then you can use the others to finish them off. That's a free camp before the enemy mid can push it back to you. It's going to be hard to match Belveth's wave clear with this ability. All in level 3, Cat has to jump out as soon as this ability gets used. Not going to deal any damage to Belveth while it's on. Stuff happened in bot lane. Dive goes off, Belveth couldn't get there in time. Fighting against assassins mid must be pretty useful to have this ability as well. Once you just pop it, they just won't do... they'll do 70% less damage. I mean, you can see here, he still has it up, uses it on the minions for the lifesteal actually in this situation. Could also be using it to bait. Gets the knock up, just uses the dashes to outplay. Didn't need it in this situation. It's a good bait tool though. Especially against, it would actually really would counter something like Syndra, because if you just use E on her ult, that ability, it becomes basically no damage. You missed the kind of minion, man. Come on. any assassin, Z if he ults you, just use your E and it won't do any damage anymore with the mark. Going for a roam top lane using 2 stacks here as well. There's the E coming out, blocking rumble damage. That was actually a good bait. You can see it in action right there. Alright, he's basing at 4 minutes 50. What's he going to purchase with 3 assists? He buys a BF sword first item and TP's back mid. Is this a smart build? Buying BF sword first item? I guess he just really thinks he could win this 1v1. I can't believe anyone would recommend this as a good item. Think of buying Hex Drinker right here, or something like that. They've got an AP top laner, and Rakan who does AP damage. Surely that kind of item would be better, but no, he's going for the full Chad BF sword into Galeforce build. He doesn't care. I guess he doesn't have to fight mid lane. A lot of Korean solo queue is just pushing mid and then going to do something, so that's a lot of solo queue in all servers, I guess. Belveth does it well. Huge cannon wave that Katarina can't respond to the roam with. So it's an easy 4v3 bot side. Well, they're actually using it for Dragon, which would give Belveth her form if they could get it. And that could be quite good snowballing for bot side. Obviously has Q and the E damage, so they're really shredding this dragon. Only took like 10 seconds. Katarina hasn't managed to push this mid wave. He does get the ult form and dashes over the wall, of course, so they can roam straight to bot lane. Well, yeah, this actually works well. Level 4, Aphelios stands no chance. Another soul harvested, and another dive. Katarina does finally get here. Mid wave is not pushed though. Katarina doing Katarina things. Unfortunately, I don't think they can kill her though. Well, this game is certainly not over. Katarina's alive. Katarina's got kills. The BF sword, I'm still questioning. It definitely buffs up the Q damage a lot. It's 110% AD ratio on it. Pretty good on the W and the E as well. That's a lot of text. I have read that at some point. Okay, just goes Zeal next item. Very squishy build, no boots either. I assume he doesn't need them thanks to the Q movement speed. The Q dashes, sorry. I guess he can just dash around people, dash around the map. It's now 14.4 second cooldown, so you can use a couple to get to the fight, and then if you time it well, you'd have them back up by the time you get there. Another fight going on. Bot gap guy is winning this fight though. His ult form ran out, so he can't jump over this wall. There are 2 people here. Does he know? Can he win this? He does have his E up. Maybe he can damage reduce? 70% damage reduction? Okay, this BF sword build is not working. It must look better when it gets to Galeforce. That's my hope. Spawns his only purchase is a health potion. No Galeforce yet. Immediately shoving midwave again, every single time he's up. Rumble seems like a pretty hard champion for Belveth to deal with. I guess he has very little magic resist. Probably will be okay here. Yep. Basing again, still doesn't buy boots, so he clearly doesn't need them. He clearly prefers just straight up AD, finishing off his Galeforce first item. People, especially high elo players at the moment, have been saying that the game is very much kill the enemy first and win. If you die first, then you lose the game. Due to new items on 13.10, such as Ghostblade and the other AD items being quite, I guess, snowbally like that. I mean, it was supposed to really be a AD carry based patch, but an AD carry patch often ends up with assassins being changed as well. But this case especially, Ghostblade looks like one of the better items. And so I guess with him going for a full Galeforce first item build, he's really all in on that philosophy of making sure whatever happens, he just has as much damage as possible to burst people down. Doesn't actually need to go to this bot lane fight. Stormray is an amazing item in this patch too. You can see both AD carries have it. Kaz is going for this one shot. Is the E damage reduction enough? No, he doesn't even use it. Well, you can see, I guess right there you can see the example of if you do the damage first, you win the fight. Ooh, a TP bot lane though. What's happening here? Respawns. He has Galeforce. Let's see the damage. Q dash. Auto attacks, gets a crit, Q dash back, ult off, didn't even need the Galeforce active. I mean, it's not terrible stats, it's still a crit item that gives attack speed, gives AD. Does also give AD to all your other legendary items now, which is fine for any AD champion really. Mid roam, will he use Galeforce this time? Still doesn't need it. I really wonder what this Galeforce is going to do for him. He does have the 4 dashes, so I'm concerned he'll never use it ever again. Roaming up top side. Another pick from his bot lane. They are actually bot gapping, it's true. Looking for the 1v1, he actually just Galeforced the wave to push, so he doesn't have it for this fight against Kha'Zix. Gets a good knockup though, and smoothly slides out. Oh, but Kha'Zix just flash Qs him. He's probably just dead because of that. Damage reduction, not enough. Maybe if he'd used it at the start of the fight. Finally buys his boots, and he does buy some armor now, so he is going into a normal bruiser secondary item. Deadman's Fleet perhaps. Next. Gets his transformation. One thing about being mid lane is that you can always show up for these objectives to get the transformation and deal the damage. Playing top lane was a little bit of an issue. I mean, the ideal thing is that you're able to get Rift Herald by yourself up here, and then get these minions, create a big wave. And so you can still do that with mid lane, just rotate up, do the same thing. His team dies, this game is actually still reasonably close. I mean, the gold isn't so much, but that's mostly top, right? And bot lane having some deaths. You can see the split pushing power of this guy, just with his Galeforce. It's not even really a split pushing high damage build. Galeforce there actually to escape. I guess one thing about Belveth is that she can go in all 4 directions, and so if you're aggressing onto someone, you have a lot of aggression to stay on top of them, but she actually doesn't have that much escape mobility. Could he actually be building this just for escapes? It is kind of the one thing that Belveth lacks, because she can sort of dash 3 times in one direction, but not really. Does go Deadman's next. I think specifically it is just a really good early game snowbally build, and then he's able to spec next into Bruiser to make sure that he can frontline for his AD carry if needed. There is a flank TP coming in from Rumble. Can they deal enough damage to the front line and get a reset? Surely one of these guys will die. Oh no, they're not gonna die. You can dash back over the wall in a second. Gragas putting in some work now. Gets the reset. Has to get out to tower range. Claims one though. Kha'Zix coming in. Galeforce is almost up. Will he die to this cat? Gets a good knockup. Gragas suicides for him. Good guy. No lifesteal in this build either. He even sold his Doran's ring, I just noticed, to get Deadman's. Buys no magic finally. Wonder if he will go for his Hex Drinker against these 2 AP threats. I mean, Kha'Zix is probably the real issue. Real only one to worry about. Onto Dragon. Gotta stack, gotta get your ult. Evolve again. Every time. Whenever you can. Just shreds it with his Q. Is side laning. Does like the split push aspect. I mean, you can see why with all these minions. Could probably get this inhib tower. The enemies are not ready for it. It's always either take tower or collapse into a 4v5. That's what every good top laner does when split pushing. This time he chooses to try and look for a fight, look for a catch around here. Trying to group up to get this tower instead of trying to take the inhib one. Could have probably done the other one in this case, but you never know, because there's fog of war everywhere. He couldn't see any of this. So safer to group up, definitely. Just killing the tower. Okay, Galeforce here, is he going to use it aggressively? Or will it just be another defensive Galeforce? Getting a bit shredded by this guy. Hasn't used Galeforce yet. He manages to get away just. The minions are tanking tower for him. That's so useful. Galeforce forwards! He gets a little bit of damage off. Not terrible. He didn't want to go closer because he didn't want to just immediately die to Aphelios and give a reset. This is such a risky build, man. To bring some balance to this really risky build, I want to show you this one instead, which is a different build. You can see the first part of the game, he manages to get a solo kill in mid lane, not using anything, just, well, flashing forwards, but no ignite, no combat summoners. In this game, he's going for a Ravenous Hydra build, which then goes into Iceborne Gauntlet. This build is especially getting really popular on a lot of different champions in Korean solo queue, not just Belveth in mid lane. It's also being played on stuff like Nocturne, which I was considering making a video about too. It's just a really, really good item for laning, giving AD and wave clear, and then also in fights, obviously really good AD. You kill the minions, you get the bonus AD, and then you go into a fight probably doing more damage than you should really be doing. And you also get the wave clear, always great, such good sustain for lane as well, so some matchups are just really easy to win. And then yes, these guys build into Iceborne Gauntlet, which, I mean, on Belveth it's probably never built. She has so many attacks, and this I think only procs once per champion, right? Or once every 1.5 seconds. But it does give a lot more tankiness to make you more frontliney. And then if you combo it with the Ravenous Hydra, which obviously gives you such good stats, and lifesteal, and attack speed, it's just a really interesting way of becoming a bruiser that doesn't involve like any of the classic items. So we can see in this fight, Ravenous Hydra kind of keeping him alive for most of that time, but then still having damage to contribute. Everybody on the enemy team is pretty much dead already. He could go for this kill, instead he's just TPing to end this game since we're already so late game. But you can really see how much tanky he is with something like this. And it's really, really good in laning especially. Once you buy Ravenous Hydra, you will be stronger than the enemy mid. And so that's kind of the benefit of this build. I think this is a more reliable build, especially you see the lifesteal he gets on his E thanks to this item, and just the ability itself. I don't think the Galeforce build is quite as perfected as this build is. I mean, it's quite simple to build this. Just a good AD item into a really good tank item. It makes a lot more sense. The runes are the exact same as well. No changes needed. So I think if you are going to try Bel'Veth Mid, I recommend this page. Don't bother taking combat summoners unless you want to take exhaust in a really hard matchup, perhaps. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please also check out Porofessor if you're going to try out any of the champions. If you want to try an off-meta build for any lane, Porofessor will probably already have a build for it that it imports into your in-game shop automatically. So let me know what you think of Bel'Veth Mid, and download it from the link in the description. Thank you for watching.